What's up, everybody? Thanks for listening to Yellow Spandex. This week, we're talking about Gundam and how they're doing a live movie. They want to do a live movie of Gundam. This is interesting. Have we not seen that before? I don't know. Maybe.
They better do it right.
We also talk about Swamp Thing. They're doing a 10 season, holy crap, 10 series, 10 episode. Jeez, Vince can't talk. We also talk about Avengers stuff. We also dive into some Star Wars stories and
Talk about Peter Mayhew.
Yeah, and Chewbacca and living his full potential.
I probably shoehorned in some Mortal Kombat references.
Oh yeah,
There's always that.
all of that and more coming up next
Also,
on Yellow Spandex.
Halle Berry sucks a storm.
What's up? Welcome back to Yellow Spandex. I'm glad that you heard that little intro we just did. It's cute, wasn't it? Okay, so this
we ran out last time to talk about Gundam because Josh had brought it up.
yeah, and this week we're going to talk about that because I was a huge Gundam fan, like coming up in the anime scene.
And we're definitely not pre-recording this because Vince and I are going to be away at a convention.
Yeah,
So people are watching our socials like, how is this?
but
They're here, but they're there too.
so Gundam Wing is they're doing a live action Gundam Wing or Gundam just Gundam because I'm not actually sure which Gundam they're going to choose from because they're like I just said, Gundam Wing was one of them. There's Gundam Seed. There's Gundam 00. There's so many freaking Gundams. It's ridiculous.
So Josh pulled up this article about the Gundam movie, which I didn't even know was in development. And they said that it might not suck because there's no canon timeline. And so there's all the things that Vince had just mentioned.
So you don't have to worry about continuity.
I guess.
No, if they can do a completely original movie.
Yeah, they could just do one straight up without even caring, like Final Fantasy style.
Now, my only criticism, or the only thing I would ask of these movie makers, is if they add a Gundam that is well known, like the suit, the mech suit, because a lot of them are super popular. Like the models of the mech suits are that's the only thing that's like anywhere close to a thing, a symbol of, you know.
That's the thing is I only know Gundam from the toys. I don't think I've ever actually seen a full episode of the show or know anything about it. But I love the toys. They're
Amazing. Yeah.
I mean, actually, when Pacific Rim came out, I thought it was a Gundam movie.
I mean, so that's a good point, though, and I'm glad that you brought that up because Pacific Rim is the first time we got to see mechs in that aspect, you know, that on film and everything. I would say the only thing before that was what, like,
Ultraman? Not really.
man, what would it be? Like, television would be like Power Rangers, seeing like the Zords.
Yeah, but when was Gundam?
Gundam was
happening?
like late 80s, 90s. Actually, can we look that up?
If it was late 80s, it's technically before Power Rangers for the US, at least.
Because it might even have been 2000.
But I remember Gundam toys as like a really little kid.
Gundam's just been around for such a long time. Like I can't really put a timestamp on when they really started. Because like Japan, it hit Japan. That's where it was birthed.
Any of these are going to take a while for it to
So
get
1979.
here. Wow, 79.
That makes sense then because like I was 5-6 years old when I visited my family in Korea. And
Mobile Suit Gundam is pretty much the first one you see because that was on the television. You know, I didn't grow up in the 70s or the 80s or whatever. I grew up in the 90s, but Mobile Suit Gundam was probably like one of the most popular out of all the series. I know Mobile Suit Gundam Wing was my favorite, and there's the Endless Waltz is Gundam Wing movie that was amazing. I actually ended up buying all those models from Endless Waltz, and I still maybe have some. I forget if I do or not, but
Is that what the little guys are that you were building?
no, the Rod Hat is that grade that it was the smaller ones.
For RKVC, Vince and I are in a band. We have a YouTube channel, and then for our patrons and other like hardcore fans, we have a second channel that we post like extra stuff on. So one of the extra stuff was like we got 4K cameras, and so we were doing a test. And I had this Gundam action figure I bought like a year ago at SoCal Retro Gaming Expo. So I did the 4K time lapse test on that, and that's what I built. Because like I said, I remember that Gundam action figure as a kid, or one like that, but I'd never seen the show. I love the toys because like and robots and dinosaurs, man. Like,
Yeah.
just-
I used to play Mech Warrior.
Yeah, Mech
like,
Warrior.
back in the day. But
Oh, yeah.
I never got, like I said, it was hard to find it. Like, I'm a little bit older than Vince, so like most of my growing up was VHS. So it was hard to find any of that stuff, even in the rental places. So
Yeah,
I never got interested in anime.
And you'd mentioned it last podcast episode that you'd have to go to like Suncoast or something and special order it.
Yeah.
Where I was at, it was Sam Goody.
Yeah, that too.
Which I think later became either the same company or like very similar.
Probably bought them out. FYE, all those kind of things.
Well, God bless you.
But I remember like, when you asked for something like that, like I said, I wasn't into anime, but I did love this one show that was adapted for U.S. television called Ronin Warriors.
Yes.
I still to this day love it, but I can't find it. There's like, I forget what the Japanese version is called, like translated to, but it's a different show because the dialogue,
It's like Samurai Warrior
something like that, but they changed the dialogue enough that it's almost a different story.
or Shogun Warrior.
So I love the U.S. one because that's just what I grew up with, and
Yeah.
it doesn't exist anymore that I can find.
They made a DVD of it because I remember I looked around about Christmas time for you for it.
Thanks, man.
They made a DVD of that stuff, but they only released it once, and so
Yeah.
the DVDs going for it were rather expensive.
I'm sure that the rights were very limited, like kind of like how Marvel licensed out Spider-Man to Japan, and that's what created the Power Rangers
Yeah.
thing. Like I'm sure it was like for 3 years you can use this property, you know, and then like it reverted, and then no one was thinking about home, video and stuff. So it probably just dissolved into history, you know.
Well, that's what, like with Toonami and other things like that, to where they started. I don't know if they were just trying to fill space. Like on one other podcast, we were talking about Nickelodeon with Noozles and some of the other anime stuff that they had on earlier.
Right.
I felt like they were just kind of trying to fill some space because they didn't have their own shows yet, and so they were just like, "Hey, we can just dub over this stuff from Saban or whatever." And
But all those shows, I since they're just on TV when I got older, like Josh and I grew up in this time period where we overlapped like the change to digital. So it was that time where like we were young enough to know like anime and stuff like that,
Analog, all that.
but like or young enough to remember that, but old enough to remember like the beginnings of home video,
yeah,
like for TV shows and stuff and movies.
yeah.
And so like having to go to FYE and be like pulling out like a physical book and be like, okay, this weekend maybe order from
Yeah.
and then you had to wait like a month.
yeah, it's 6 to 8 weeks sometimes.
I remember for me it was CDs and the Wall. Do you guys remember the Wall?
I didn't have a wall where I was at, but I know what
You
you're
remember
talking
that?
about.
They had like a subscription thing you could be a part of.
So the
You get
Wall-
the Wall card.
Yeah,
and you get discounts.
Subscription
and-
CD things were big in the 90s.
Yeah, but this is a little bit different. So they had physical locations. It was kind of like Sam Goody, from my understanding, because I had friends that grew up with it, but we didn't grow up with it in Indiana, not at least the regions we were in. But it was like a Sam Goody or FYE, but it had a sticker on it with a lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
So if that same disc ever broke or got scratched, you bring it into the Wall and they would replace it for the same one.
As long as you had the thing on it.
And so for a while, people were just picking them up at like garage sales and stuff, and then bringing them into the store to get new ones.
Wow.
So-
I could see that killing them quickly.
Well,
Killing me softly.
well, you could see how many there are left.
Exactly. Well, that's with all of these, though.
But
I mean, FYE is like another company that was like that, and their main one was in Burbank over here. It got destroyed, and there's like a Chase Bank there now. However,
So-
there's still a couple FYEs around.
I was gonna say because like on Facebook, I sent this to our friend Jeff over at Boss Level 8. I saw like a Funko Pop for Prince, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And I looked, and the account that posted it was like FYE, and I was like, "This is awesome, Jeff." Also, I learned that FYE is still around.
Exactly. Actually, a few years ago, they made Reptar Bars. Did you ever
Okay.
see those? You know what a Reptar bar is? You ever seen Rugrats?
Yeah, no,
Reptar.
that Reptar.
Okay, Reptar is that Godzilla-like
the
creature.
toy that Tommy carries.
Yeah,
around. Yeah.
But like in the show, they had Reptar bars, which are chocolate bars, but there's green goo inside of them that turned your tongue green
Ooh.
on the in the cartoon.
That's
And so
oh,
they
yeah, that's right.
they created them specifically for FYE. And there's only so many of those darn stores. There's got to be like only like 15 left.
And they're real fresh now.
Yeah, but it was like it was a big internet thing that happened, and I was like, wow, that probably got them a little bit of
Right.
a bump.
Because
yeah.
that I wonder if like marketers in the future are going to start thinking about that, because like for our age group, we grew up with a certain amount of nostalgia, and now not us specifically, but our age group is like now like with money and families and
Yeah.
stuff. And so Josh has family, but none of us really have money. So, but a majority of the rest of our generation does, So like, what are they spending it on? It's like stuff that reminds them of the childhood before things got all messed up. That's part of the reason that I spent half of the last episode talking about Mortal Kombat, because it was one of the few things like in my childhood. I'm like, yes, and then Vince knows virtually every action anime ever.
Try it.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm always trying to chase that 6-player X-Men arcade.
Yeah.
Well, to get back to Gundam,
Sorry, guys.
For those of you who are Gundam fans, we are not going to do this justice at all because I want to make a factual statement here. You Gundam fans are like one of the most diehard people ever. I've met a few of you and could not stop you from talking about the history of Gundam. And then what it did is it made me realize that it spanned from 79 till today. Like they're still creating Gundam content.
Every once in a while, I run into like a Gundam fan that, especially after Ready Player One, because there was a cameo in there, a pretty major cameo with Gundam. I run into a Gundam fan, and it takes 2 or 3 sentences before I realize they're speaking English. Because they get like they are very concerned about like the phonetic pronunciations of all the different names and stuff. And like, that's a lot of anime, but especially Gundam because of all like it's like a bunch of letters, numbers, and like Japanese words and stuff.
Well, the RX-78-2 is the most popular Gundam suit or mech that is out there.
The best part is most people can't remember their own phone number, but they can remember that.
Yeah. So
You're like-
that and even in the article that intrigued all of us for Gundam,
Part of the article that we were reading here is that they hope that the film industry, or I think Legendary is doing the film, learns from films like Alita Battle Angel and not from like Ghost in the Shell.
yeah.
Because Vince and I, neither of us had seen Alita like manga or anything, even though Vince was way into that stuff. Like that was one of the things he didn't check out. But we both enjoyed it like a lot. And that's from like, he's an anime fan. I'm not an anime fan, but we both enjoyed it. And then like fans of Alita loved it. Like they made it a sleeper box office hit. Like, opening weekend was okay, but then it just kept going.
Yeah.
Like
It destroyed overseas.
but like over the course of like a month, we saw it like 3 or 4 times ourselves. I mainly saw it because I was confused. Because I was like, what am I
Need
missing?
to know.
Well, there was just so many things happening,
I mean, Alita's an older. I forget what year it was.
The manga was like the early 80s, I think.
80s?
Or early 90s?
That was
no,
like-
early 90s, yeah.
Akira was really big. In the 80s.
Someone's
No,
going to crucify me for that time frame. I'm probably wrong.
I haven't like
Bubblegum Crisis was like another one that was really.
I didn't
big
even
back
get into
then.
anything like that. Like actually bought anything like that until Disney started redoing some of the Studio Ghibli stuff. So they had,
Oh,
was it,
yeah.
Spirited Away, I think, isn't it? And
oh, those...
Homeward Bound. No,
no, Spirited Away, like the Totoro.
yeah, My Neighbor Totoro.
Spirit Away
I
was
actually haven't
one
seen-
of the saddest freaking movies with the rabbits.
I never actually didn't see that one yet, but
I-
I have the Kiki's delivery service, and we have Totoro, and my kids love them both.
Yeah.
And I love them too. I really like enjoying them.
Princess Mononoke was another really big anime back for like starters.
And those are all... Is that all the same director or producer?
Well, it's the studio. Was it? I can't. I could be completely saying this wrong, right? Ghibli.
The reason I think that, and I might be wrong, is that years, like a decade ago, I worked at Barnes & Noble in the music and TV DVD section
Yeah.
when both those things existed in stores.
Same
And
time.
there was a shelf of a director's name, and it was Spirited Away, Totoro, like...
Mitsaki.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, I think he did all those. So far, someone clicked on this video because they're a huge fan of that director, and they're screaming like, ah!
Yeah, let us know down in the comments. We love to hear your guys' opinions.
Castle in the Sky.
Yeah. And all those were made like in '86.
Yeah, this is like
oh my
wild.
goodness. Yeah.
Spirit Away was
I didn't watch this until
2001.
2010, I think, maybe when it came out and when they dubbed it over with Disney voices or Ponyo.
That's
ooh.
funny.
I wonder. I've never seen that. The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. That's intrigues me. That name intrigues me.
I'm sure someone's already done this, but I kind of like anime titles have a very like style,
Yeah.
kind of like how Zelda games have like a style in their names. So like it'd be funny if people just went through like hit blockbuster movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like gave them like what their anime names would be. Endgame be like Prince Hulk and the Marvel. Like I don't know. Like it's like. Because it's always like one like small reference to something happening in it,
Oh, there's this one here. It's called Only Yesterday.
Tells me
Ocean waves.
It's like aesthetically pleasing like words together.
I was actually listening to a podcast the other day with Adam Savage on it, and he said Spirited Away is one of his favorite movies.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a touching movie.
He would cosplay as one of the Faceless
Oh yeah,
or
the
whatever.
faceless. Yeah. So that's not the RX-78. Actually, I'm looking at the article now. The photo, the colors are correct, but it looks like a different render.
But I don't think any of these are from the movie because I don't think
Yeah.
like the filming or whatever animation or whatever. It doesn't look like it's started yet, or if it has, they
This
haven't
is
released
just-
anything from it.
Yeah, just whatever conceptual art. But if they're gonna do Gundam, they have to be careful about which Gundams they put in there, or if they just go completely new and just try their hands at their own Gundam.
It'd be really cool if they could like I say they like the Hollywood like ether could strike lightning twice, like with having something like Alita where new fans, old fans, and different fans all like are like that's cool with Gundam because like I'll go just because it's robots.
Yeah.
But like I would love it even more if I read reviews later where like hardcore fans were like they did us right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to see that. I always want the source material to be completely respected
Yeah, you hear
in
that?
every way.
You hear that singer?
Which is why some of the things that pissed us off, And I know that like people that love X-Men and actually read all the X-Men, they weren't, some of the people just didn't like the X-Men series, like the cartoon series that we liked, which kind of blows my mind a little bit because that's, even though some of the storylines, a lot of the storylines are from actual arcs in the comics, like they're close enough to where, they're done pretty well.
For any of you who've watched this, Vince and I host a show on the Mob Crush channel. It used to be Tuesdays and now it's Fridays. And so we play retro games and we do like Hangman and Pictionary and stuff. This last week we played Pictionary along with Captain America and the Avengers for SNES. And in Pictionary, Vince can draw really well. So his Pictionary was a little bit better. Like you draw a shield and you're like Captain America. I draw something like like Blob. Like so the second thing I was supposed to draw, like Sam, the guy who produces it, was like giving terms and they were all Marvel related terms. Not necessarily MCU, just Marvel. So like he's like looking up like things that are trending right now. So off camera he gives me the word the Dark Phoenix. And I'm like, ah. So I got on board and I just draw a poop emoji. And then I put like money next to it. And everybody's like, what?
And Brandon's like Dark Phoenix.
No, I
didn't get it. I was too busy playing actually.
I tried to think like then I tried drawing something. I don't know. I was like after I drew those two things, I'm like I don't know what else.
We also have guests on too. Not every time, but we're working on that.
Anyways,
That's the arcade game, right?
Guests
Captain-
on?
no, the-
oh,
sorry,
Captain.
the-
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but
definitely.
the
Yeah.
arcade.
we
right?
played the SNES port, but I brought that up because we were talking about like servicing the fans and stuff. Like the Dark Phoenix, I should be excited about that movie coming out,
I'm gonna watch it.
but okay, so I'll put it this way: if 10-year-old me heard, are we pausing for airplane?
No, I just heard the airplane. I don't care.
If 10-year-old me, like, if I could go in a time machine right now, like, take a Pym particle and go talk to my like 10-year-old self and be like, a Dark Phoenix movie is coming out, like, I'd be like, oh my
Two Dark
god,
Phoenix movies.
yeah, right, right. I was like, oh my god, yes, but I'm like, but it's not. I came here to warn you that it's not what you think it is. Like, just don't get too emotionally invested, dude. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know.
You would say, I knew it.
Was it you that had the picture of Spider-Man with Mjolnir, and it was like, if I would have gone back in time and told myself that you're going to get an awesome movie with Spider-Man in his iron spider suit holding on to Mjolnir while he punches Thanos, is like, I would have punched myself in the face.
I didn't put that up, but no.
That is awesome.
Well, then again, though, at that, like, if my preteen self heard that I would be this excited for Avengers movies, I don't think I would have believed you. I'd be like, no, it's X-Men.
That's true.
know,
I wasn't really into Avengers that much. I feel like it was a little goofy, some of the characters. I mean, I didn't really like Thor at the beginning.
I mean, I liked them, but it wasn't like it was about X-Men.
Yes.
And like, but all the discount toys I bought were the Avengers. Like when I was completing my action figure collection, it's like, oh, they're Avengers.
That makes me think. When did the first Avengers hit cartoons, like on television?
Well, they actually had an Avengers show immediately following the Spider-Man show. I think it was called Avengers United They Stand, and it is awful.
That was early 90s, right? 94?
Probably mid-90s,
98?
96.
96?
I'll get up real quick.
Because 98 was big for cartoons.
But anyway, all that to say, like, hopefully we're so far in. We're like literally like over
99. Dang.
we're over a decade into like fandom movies, you know, like the superhero movies, the MCU and stuff.
Definitely.
Alita, like now we're delving into anime. They made their mistakes with Ghost in the Shell and all that stuff. So hopefully now they're like, okay, we're gonna do Gundam. We're gonna hit like go for the big boys, and we have a lot of case studies of how to do it right and how to do it very wrong. So hopefully they do it right.
Hopefully.
There's a lot of examples out there, movie people.
Choose wisely.
We also we saw an article about Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of childhood properties, so Josh is a huge fan of Swamp Thing.
I don't know about huge fan, but I just remember I loved that. I loved this Swamp Thing Returns, like when I was
The
younger.
movie.
Yeah, the movie.
So I hadn't seen the movies until way later in life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, when did
I
that
saw
come
the,
out?
the cartoons were the ones that I saw.
Well, the original Swamp Thing I think came out in like the early 70s. Gotta look it up.
See,
here.
when I think of the first Swamp Thing, I immediately think of something completely different. The creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh yeah, you're thinking of the monster, Universal Monsters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
1982.
Oh, Wes Craven. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I actually did see Swamp Thing. Now that I'm remembering that, was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
All of my memories of Swamp Thing were the cartoon show they had.
That's what I remember the most of. I forgot they even had a live action movie.
That was him.
Ray Wise was the guy.
That's so funny.
And I don't know if it was Susan Sarandon who was the woman.
I mean, I was a kid, so everything was cool to me. I'd have to rewatch this to see if it was good or not.
Oh, so I got this mixed up. So Ray Wise was Alec Holland, but I can't read that name.
No, he was Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. So who? What's the thing as Swamp
Oh yeah,
Thing?
Alec.
There's another credit for Swamp Thing for People Down.
This guy.
Yeah.
Dick. I don't know if he was in the costume, maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay, so since you've seen the movies, you have to tell me if I just imagine this as Mandela affected and it's kind of gross, but like, I don't remember much from the Swamp Thing movies because it was one of those things that played on TBS, you know, on like Sunday evenings or something. It was on the side. I remember like being like, "Oh, they made a movie of my favorite cartoon. It's not my favorite cartoon, like one of the cartoons I watched because I didn't know that Swamp Thing was a movie and then they made it a cartoon." So as a kid, I'm like, "Oh, they made a movie of the cartoon," and the movie came up and there was a scene where like Swamp Thing is there and there's a romantic interest and they're standing in the swamp and he like reaches down and the way it cut, I couldn't tell where it was from, but he like broke off what looked like a pickle or a cucumber or something and then like handed it to the girl or like showed it to her or something. And I was like, that was very like phallic, you know, like was that a sexy thing?
Hold my cucumber.
And then ever since then, I've never gone back to watch it because I haven't cared enough.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, did that really happen or did I imagine that as like a preteen?
Nah,
Like, did that
it probably
happen?
happened.
Yeah, there's some weird like that I remember happening because I remember it's Heather Locklear as the girl that's in this movie. But yeah, I think at one point in time she grows like a little thing on her foot too, like a little like it's weird. It's very I don't know.
So there was like a cucumber pickle like
There's some
thing.
weird.
Wow, that actually I don't know why that settles my mind so much. Because like, was that just like a weird perverted kid? Like before I even knew what sex was. Like,
well, I'm sure when you were growing up, whatever little things are like firing off your synapses.
Yeah.
I'm sure this was one of them.
but this was before. This was I think before
Sexy lady with giant swamp thing.
I mean, it's Heather Locklear.
But this was before like puberty and stuff. So that's why I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like it would make sense if it was like, you know, Mortal Kombat 2 comes out, Shania Twain releases an album, and I saw Swamp Thing. That makes sense because that era was like hormones are raging, you know, you're like fighting stuff. But like I was like a little kid. And why don't I remember that?
I also remember Swamp Thing being enormous. Like, I wonder if we can find his like card stats.
I do know my favorite Swamp Thing toy was there was a action figure that I don't know if it was supposed to be from the movie or the cartoons, but it was like a neon green kind of Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah.
And he stood up like a regular action figure, but then when you pushed a button on his back, he was like attached with strings instead of regular joints, so he would collapse into like a swamp. You know, like
cool.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
One of these guys.
yeah, I think is that maybe it that one there? I don't know. Oh, it looked like that.
There's so many toys.
So that's a stretchy one, kind of. So there was one though that just collapsed. Oh, is this one?
Oh, there you go.
Oh wow, that brings back memories. So that must be from the movie then, right?
I don't know.
Oh, TV series, DC. I don't know.
I just remember loving that movie growing up.
I had
and whenever it was on TV, I'd be like Swamp Thing, like want to run over him. I was very interested in it.
It was cool because when you pulled on the limbs, they were just attached by like strings.
Yeah, so you weren't supposed to because it was just supposed to be for you to like collapse.
Yeah, the little button like it's a little toys that collapse.
But as a kid, you're like, let's test our boundaries. So you're like stretching them, like moving them like joints and stuff. So eventually he just never, like he was always collapsed because all the strings were like worn out and stuff. I think he probably like lost an arm or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Greg, my cousin, had this same one, and that's exactly what happened to his too. Eventually, they just don't recoil.
It wasn't until later that I knew he was a DC character, though.
I might have just learned that now.
I think I've always known that he was DC.
Oh, you know what? No, I learned that when they announced the DC Universe thing.
Oh, nice.
Which is kind of what we're talking about. Like, we'd heard rumors that they released a trailer, and then like the same day there was like tweets and blogs about like Swamp Thing production canceled. Like, these things contradict.
Exactly.
You guys. I want you guys to look for Swamp Thing stats to tell me like if you can find how tall he was to tell me.
I remember in the movie
other things as well.
Like, he was really tall because Heather Locklear's like face was like at his chest.
Yeah.
I just remember him being huge. Like,
but that was kind of like
identity.
And there was a long time that I had as a kid for the cartoon shows. I got Swamp Thing mixed up with Toxic
Avenger,
Crusader.
Crusader, yeah.
Was that the Crusader, the cartoon?
Toxic
I don't know if the
Crusader.
cartoon was different, but I know that it was Avenger for movie.
Yeah. Okay. So Crusader was the cartoon then.
Yeah.
Because it was different than the movie. Because the movie is like not for children.
Super perverted.
But like it's just funny. They take any property and they're like, let's sell toys. But I loved it.
Police Academy had nudity. Let's sell toys.
Yeah,
I had all those toys too.
those were fun.
That was also the time where like slime was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
For kids. So it was like Swamp Thing, Toxic Crusader, the Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles had the slime. Then they had Gak right at shortly following.
So-
now Slime's again is huge. So stupid.
So preteen Rod or baby like child Rod was not allowed to have slime anything. 'Cause my parents were like, none of that
Did you have animals?
stuff. Nope.
See, we had cats and dogs, and any of that slime, it just because cat hair is everywhere and dog hair is everywhere, and it just got into that stuff, and it was the most disgusting crap on earth afterwards.
Well, it was for the same reasons though. My parents were like, little tidbit. I think my mom wasn't quite ready to have kids. My dad was like, I want to like have a family. And so, like, I don't know if the household was prepared for children. So, like, by the time like a little raging Rod was running around causing trouble, like, I think there was like, we have no order, like, and so they're like, my mom was still trying to have like a nice house and life and everything. So she's like, no animals, no slime, like, and the rare occasion that someone, because I think she made that very clear to like friends and family for birthdays, because I never got anything that had slime in it somehow, and I think like. Maybe on the rare occasion, someone got me something that had like a little canister of slime. My mom was like, "Oh, somebody I got lost. The dog ate it. We don't have a dog. Neighbor's dog ate it."
My kids try to make it so much because it's all over the internet, and it's just disgusting. I find like cups of it. Like, I'm not joking. I'll be like, "Oh, what the heck?" And it's like molding sometimes. And you're like,
because it's
"What?"
cornstarch now.
Yeah. And like, I guess to make it not mold, you need borax or something. But gladly, we don't have that in our house. So like, but it's still, you find it and you're like, oh gosh,
I
come
guess,
on.
I
You
guess
guys remember Floam?
Yeah. I guess borax makes sense though, because even though it's probably not great for you to eat a lot of. Like, if like a little kid has it, it doesn't poison them.
Oh yeah, I thought it was beer actually really bad for the kids.
I mean, I'm sure you just can't like eat cups of it, but like that's I've heard like growing up, like my babysitters growing up and stuff would put that out for ants instead of ant bait, because it was safer for children to be around.
I put it out for uncles.
There you go.
But back to Swamp
Sorry.
Thing.
So what is this article about?
So they were talking about what the two pieces of news that it was announced for DC Universe and that the production closed was I guess actually to announce that they were cutting down the number of episodes.
They just wrapped it basically. They wrapped production and they had 13 episodes, and now they're down to 10.
Which is never a good sign.
Yeah, apparently it was the ending had to be reworked.
That's also a good sign.
Maybe it was better than not. You know, like, we always complain about Netflix Marvel shows to where like they ended and then like 4 episodes later they're like still like kind of chewing on things.
See, I'm one of the rare people. I don't know if it's rare. At least with my several friends, I liked that.
Yeah,
because the Netflix show specifically, I love the worlds that those people lived in. So I love the art, like the arching stories of like what's happening, but I also like just being there. Like Luke Cage, I love being in that club, hearing the music.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones' CD world, like I don't know, I just love those worlds, so I didn't mind it actually.
They got a good cast of people here, like or at least like producing and directing.
Yeah,
and co-writing.
got someone from Daredevil. I mean, it's
Sleepy Hollow, Star Galactica is like an amazing drama.
So it could be good. I mean, I haven't really watched much of the Titans or what's the other one? Doom Patrol.
The only positive, like the only show that I've heard positive things about from DC Universe is Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
And even then, it's not like you must get the app for this kind of thing. You know, I just heard like a lot of friends and people on the internet being like, "Can you rip it for me?"
End of Tomorrow was your favorite.
Oh,
what is it called?
It's that good of a show that even a fan doesn't.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, like, is so bad in my eyes that
That's CW though.
it could take down television. Like
it's DC.
Like in my imagination, like if aliens visited now and they were like, let's see programming, and they turn on the TV randomly and that show came on, like, we need to destroy Earth.
It's like Swamp Thing is better.
This is the evolution of entertainment.
The CW, I don't know why, but it just seeps into whatever show. Like they could start off really, really strong, like they started off with The Flash.
Right.
And this last season's had some good parts, but it's had some like stuff to where you're like Barry Allen's like way overacting for things and overreacting for things.
I heard people are rooting for him to be in the movies now.
I'd probably be okay with him being in a movie. You might get someone to write a good story for it. But no, it's just weird. Like CW is always that like back and forth between I need to keep things from you and because I love you, and then oh no, you pushed me away, and it just keeps going back and forth. And like I needed to protect them, so I lied to them. Like
it's like teen
overreacting for everything. It is teen drama. It's annoying because they started off so strong.
I can't get down with any DC TV stuff.
Ugh.
It does. I mean, I know like you guys are like fans of like Flash and stuff.
The first two seasons of Flash were excellent,
and Supergirl was good too.
The first season of Supergirl was good. I didn't like subsequent seasons. I felt like they went from ABC, or not ABC, whatever network they were on, they jumped over to CW.
NBC.
And, yeah.
Actually, it's funny because I found a Funny or Die meme that Josh put on Yellow Spandex later, but it was like it had like the like
that was a funny comment.
Yeah,
too.
it had like a regular hamburger that was like fine, and then it had like like bacon and like lettuce. It was like Marvel and DC, and I was like, that's what it feels like because it's like. Kind of, well, our friend Ruth Ann, who's a huge like comics nerd and stuff, would kind of describe it as like she sees something like that. She's like, it was fine, but it kind of left me with I don't
bitter taste in your mouth.
Well, no, it's just like it's just you know, like there's no flavor, like you know, so that's kind of yeah, that's kind of what I feel like. It's like, oh, it's on television.
It's McDonald's hamburger. I mean, kids love it.
Yeah,
but adults are like, I want a little more flavor.
Your comment though was hilarious. It was the gif of like your meme is mine.
No,
no,
I did that for Rod especially.
Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat meme.
Your meme is mine.
And then didn't you do like an Endgame gif too for stealing memes, or was it just?
I can't remember.
I think it was the Shang Tsung thing.
Oh wait, total tangent, but like only take a few seconds. I love how so my friend Nick from Sneaky Zebra he has this long post on Facebook about how like I think the Monday, like the 2 Mondays after Endgame came out, that should be the end of the embargo of spoilers on the internet for Endgame, because I feel like he has this long thing and then people are weighing in, yeah, that's true, that's not, blah blah, you know, that should be it, that should be not. And then that that morning, like now, is when Far From Home releases.
Yeah, the Russo brothers also said like embargo's up today.
So it's like everyone universally agrees like you had 2 weekends to see it, guys.
Which sucks because, like you'd said earlier, it's still packed. You know,
Yeah,
it's still
still
hard to get
packed.
into. I wanted to take the kids to it this weekend, but it's also super expensive to see it again. You know,
we were with a few nerds last night, and one of them had not even seen it yet. He's like,
wow.
I've been waiting 15 years or whatever to see this movie.
There's no way to escape spoilers at this point.
Yeah.
No, dude. I mean, I got spoiled, and it was beforehand. And to escape it now, oh my goodness, they're everywhere.
I know this was supposed to be like a very short tangent, but it reminds me of a story that's too good not to tell you. So Josh, if you haven't been following this
Please
podcast,
tell.
Josh got spoiled for Endgame through like a name of an Instagram account.
Yeah, they just like said something like "hi," and their name was like this.
So there's a story that I read that I was going to send you. I need to send it to you, but the TLDR of it is something similar happened to a guy for Infinity War.
I know
Did
what
you
you're
read
going to
that?
say. Actually, I think I had it on here somewhere, but please continue.
So I don't know if you've heard this, Vince. So this guy had Infinity War spoiled for him by some random person like Twitter or Instagram or something through a DM.
Infinity War?
Yeah. So, and it like deeply hurt him. But I guess he had really good reflexes. So he messaged him back like, haha, already saw it, but no, nice prank. And then he became friends with him over the last year, and they got to be really close.
Purposefully.
Yeah, he made it. He made it so they would be really close friends. The guy who got spoiled. And so he made sure that somehow that the other guy that spoiled Infinity War for him wasn't going to see Endgame opening night. And then this guy that got spoiled for him went and saw Endgame and took pictures during the movie, and then like texted him saying like, "How you doing, bro? Like, just got Endgame. Can't wait for you to see it." And then waited for him to respond and was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be awesome." And in one swoop, sent him like 30 images of all the spoilers, like every major spoiler in it. And then he's like, "Why would you do this to me? We were friends." He's like, "No, like." I was a guy who had something very important taken from me, and you're a guy that got what he deserved.
Yeah.
Like,
I've been holding on to this for a full year.
Yo, that's some
dark stuff,
heavy
man.
spite to
you gotta put
carry
yourself
that
in a
long.
dark place.
But it was like there's something so deeply satisfying about that justice. Like,
I kind of think it wasn't true. I kind of think it was a story that someone made up, but that's still
regardless,
it's an amazing story.
The thing that makes me believe it a little bit is I can picture like 10 people immediately be like, "Oh, was it Andrew?" Like, I can see
that sounds like Bill.
Yeah, like I could see some people doing that, but I don't know. I thought of Josh when I heard that story. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
If we'd have known this back then.
There's like a meme I saw of like a soldier or something like that, and all these rockets and things are shooting in the back of him, and he's got his arms out like he's protecting this guy who's sleeping, and it's like page admins and like trying to protect people from all the end game spoilers. And that's true. Like I kept having to go in through all the comments. I turned off all the comments for all of those because people would just pop up and start saying constantly or saying stuff like that. So I didn't want anybody else to get spoiled.
There was it's very something similar in all the Mortal Kombat 11 groups I'm in on Facebook. They had like a 30-day embargo, no spoilers, and people keep posting. I think half of them are unintentional.
Yeah.
They'd be like, "I just beat this character," and have a screen cap. We're like, "Dude, that's literally the middle of the story." You know, like, or like, "No spoilers, but Melina died." We're like, that was literally
no. They
like what?
They would do that all the time.
But that was you can tell some kid who was just like, "I'm so excited, I beat this character." You know, like. But that's one of the big plot points. Like, I don't know.
Don't spoil it, people.
99% of them, because I look, 99% of them are like just kids. They're just and I'm sure it's like when I was that age, I remember being like, destroy the world, burn it down.
Now on the flip side of things,
I was like, how many racks can I get in my pocket?
Yeah. Colby from Boss Level is one of these guys I make fun of him all the time because he's constantly like, no spoilers when you like breathe. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, we saw Endgame. It was really cool. He's like, no spoilers. Like, you saw it. So like I don't know. There was something I said like last time. I was like, oh, like so and so was at the premiere. That was really cool. He's like, that was a spoiler. I'm like, it's literally not the movie. Like,
is this online or in real life?
You're like spoiler for the premiere.
I think that thing was on the gaming stream we do with them. I was like, oh, our friend's ex-boyfriend showed up at the premiere. You know, like, and she was surprised that he was in the movie. And he's like, spoiler. I'm like, but he showed up at the premiere.
He was also in Infinity
War, and the photos were all over the internet. Like, it wasn't like it was like when Natalie Portman showed up at the premiere. It was like maybe it could be a spoiler, but they put that out there. Like, they didn't like put a tarp over, you know, like. So, but regardless, there was like things like I don't know. It's just. I'm gonna stop picking on him, but there's other people out there that are like, no spoilers. I'm like, I had a bag of chips today. You know, it's like it just annoys me. Like, hear the other extreme.
That's right.
Like. Just be cool.
Even the spoilers without context annoy me. Like if I haven't seen something, I'm like, come on, man.
Those are just
they're funny, but like
those are to me those are just like I feel neither way about them. 'Cause I'm like, okay,
they're gonna
like,
get a butt
whatever.
cramp from all that clenching.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying though, because like since I've seen it and I see the spoilers without context, I'm like,
you're looking for it at that point. Then.
But then like I don't know if I would have understood it before. I don't know. It's weird. I just don't look at things like with Endgame, something that important to me. I just laid low.
Oh, I didn't look at anything.
Well, I told you I was off everything, and I was posting stuff through Hootsuite, and that like the notification came up on my phone from this douchebag that did it. So like
the only minor spoiler kind of that I saw was like an image someone had posted on Instagram of like Tony with the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
But I was like, is that a spoiler? Because I kind of figured that would happen. From the first movie, but it also was like it could be fan art. And then even when it happened, I was like, that makes sense. Like it wasn't. There was other things in the movie that were like, oh wow, I'm glad that didn't get spoiled. You know?
Yeah, if I would have seen anything with Cap's hammer, I would have been pissed. The Cap and the hammer,
Yeah,
I would have been.
that
like,
I think that one would have been like thrown me off because like when it happened in the movie, I was so involuntarily happy.
Yes, I was so excited, and I feel like that would have probably been the same way for when Iron Man dies or whatever. I would have probably been like, oh, it just hurts so much more. Like you feel it so much more. You want that.
Yeah.
You want to be surprised to know who's going to die in this movie. Something's going to happen in this movie. But like people were taking pictures of like all that stuff, and they would throw it up on pages. And so I actually snoozed all of my pages. All like everything that I follow. I follow like probably 30 different Marvel pages.
I was screaming the S word the whole time.
Yeah, I was like literally shaking most of the time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
I'm just like, no.
I yelled so much in that. I'm sure my kids and my wife were like just looking at me.
You and Rod and Ruth Ann is like watching Mexican soccer.
We were holding each other's hands
They're like,
throughout the entire movie. Like it was just like no, like oh. Especially that way the movie opens. Like just the opening frame, everyone in theaters like,
yeah, they're all like super tense because it's gonna happen.
Man, yeah, Barton, poor Barton.
And then when you hear, and then you've seen it the one time.
Yeah.
Did you notice the thunder?
No.
The second time around, I noticed the thunder. It matches the thunder in Wakanda when everybody got dusted. So like they kind of match the times up, and I was like, it's daylight and wherever they're at, and also of Africa.
It's daylight
but
everywhere.
I'm still putting in my head that it's happening in waves.
Yeah. The sound is very slow, so it's just the sound. By the time that thunder started in Wakanda, it takes a while to get over to wherever he was.
That's right.
But that's why good character writing makes me care about the characters so much that stuff like that's like, nope, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like the animated series for X-Men. Jubilee can be in the room where she's watching her own like video of her being kidnapped. And I'm like, sure, whatever.
Did you see
This
that
is
meme
awesome.
where it's like before the snap and it's Hawkeye with his full head hair, and then after the snap, and then you see
I didn't see that. That's awesome.
The sides of his head dust away.
Have you Googled Thanos yet?
No.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
You tried
where
that? Half the results
snaps
dust
and the
away.
yeah.
Did you click it again?
And they come back. Yeah. That was a pretty cool thing. But I was like, oh, we should make a little video of this. And like literally everybody on the internet was doing it. I was like, all right, fine.
Even like not coming with like Matt Santoro, who does like list videos, was like, check this out.
We should talk about Peter passing away too.
You know what's terrible about that? I thought he had passed away earlier last year.
I thought he was in the newer movies, and he's not. So
he isn't.
Apparently, he retired from it after maybe Attack of the Clones or whatever he was in last time.
I didn't know that. I thought he was in the new movies too.
Yeah.
So he must have just been at the press events.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He did Comic-Cons and stuff a bunch. So
Yeah, so if you guys haven't noticed that, I don't want to get his name wrong. What do we got here? Mayhew. Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, had passed away at age 74.
yeah.
And it's Chewie. The day he passed, everyone threw up photos from like way back in the day, like
Yeah.
Chewie holding Leia, and like
Yeah, he was a super tall dude.
Absolutely,
so like he had her just like she was like a little kid, just like whoop,
Yep.
up on his arm like a bunch of times.
'Cause he was tall and lanky, and that's why he could fit in the Chewie. So, yeah. The opposite of R2D2.
Exactly. Exact opposite. Come up to his knee.
That is weird. It's a weird connection because like I wouldn't recognize his face if I saw him in the street, but like the character, like his connection to like something so like emotional that like crosses so many generations. Because even though I wasn't like a huge Star Wars fan until like the 90s when the prequels happened,
Or when they re-released.
yeah, since I could have memories, I knew who Chewbacca was just because of pop culture, you know.
Yeah.
Chewbacca and the Ewoks.
The Ewoks,
were like a thing for me when I was a kid. You know, my brother was 7 years older than me, and he was huge into Star Wars. So I got like the hand-me-downs, all the toys, and like stuff that he didn't want or just was done playing with, and that's how my Star Wars fandom started. And even back then, like you said, like we knew what Chewbacca was. You know?
I knew what Chewie and the Ewoks were before I knew what Star Wars was.
I probably was in 6th grade, and my dad was like, I think we passed something somewhere, and I was like, Star Wars, what's that? My dad's like, you've never seen Star Wars? I was like, I'm your child.
Yeah, it's like you're my father, and you control what I view.
Exactly.
Because it's not the 2000s yet. We don't have the internet.
Right.
So he's like, we're getting it, and we literally went to like Box Office Video or whatever it was
Yeah.
at the time, and rented them, and I enjoyed like we just watched them like boom, boom, boom.
I feel like what's running through your dad's head then is like, I am not close to my child.
He's like, damn, I need to start paying attention.
I mean, we
here.
had cable, so you imagine he probably was thinking it was on cable or something, and he worked pretty late. So I mean, I guess
Well,
he'd come home and
my
eat dinner,
brother,
that'd be it.
he bought all 3 VHS,
Yeah.
and one by one we would knock them out, and the stories and just like the depth of the character and everything, it was so emotionally driven, and just like seeing this like world that isn't our world for the first time for me as a kid was just like, wow, sci-fi is really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see more sci-fi things.
They had a couple of releases, so I mean, that's my brother got into it really crazy. That's when all the Lego stuff happening and all these other kind of like a renaissance of new Star Wars stuff, which led to the prequels at that point. But
Yeah.
I remember there was also these movies. I don't know if you ever saw them, the Thumb Wars.
Oh yeah.
They were, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. It's so stupid too. It's basically that they dress everybody up. They dress everybody's hand like thumbs up as in like characters, and then they superimpose like mouths, like your mouth and your
Yeah.
eyes on top
It's like
of
Angry
it.
Orange or something.
Yeah, it's like Angry Orange. And so it was just stupid, like straight up stupid. It'd be like, I remember there's one scene where in the first movie, New Hope, at the end, where he's like, use the Force, Luke, when they're coming down the trench. And he takes off the navigating system and to use the Force. But then
Yeah.
in the Thumb Wars thing, it was like, I'm going to use the Force. And then like you hear whatever the Obi-Wan character was. And he's like, use the navigating system, Luke. I'm like, what? I'm going to use the Force. He's like, use the system. That's what it's there for.
You remember the Family Guy like redid each of the original
Yeah.
trilogy movies? That just kind of reminded me like how like emotionally attached the story is to people. We've literally seen it done. Like Robot Chicken did it.
Oh, yeah.
Like South Park, Simpsons even probably. Like the Thumb Wars. Like so many parodies that even the Family Guy ones were almost not even parodies. They did like beat for beat.
Yeah.
You know? Like we see it so many times, but it's always like it's still good. Like I watch the Family Guy ones and I don't get bored with them. Or the original movies and stuff.
It was the first time in my life that my dad, my brother, and me all saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Like when they remastered them, they went back into theaters. And this was like, my brother showed me the VHS from back in the day. This is the first time I was ever going to actually see these films that my dad loved and my brother loved on the big screen. So that day, we were actually down the beach when we saw the first one, the remastered first one, and I'll always remember that was that day that like all 3 generations were loving that same thing.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
You had a way cooler experience. My dad was like, "You have to see this movie that changed my life." And I think I thought it was going to be Star Wars or something, and it was Gone with the Wind, which is a great movie.
That's
But
a long movie.
but yeah, it was a long
It
movie.
is a great movie.
It's a great movie. But my father like mostly identified with Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah.
And like when she's in the field, he's like, as long as I live, I will never be hungry again. And I'm like, I get it because he had to like immigrate from Korea and
Yeah.
everything. But I'm like, I'm like 8. I'm like, am I supposed to think that you want to be like in a crimson dress? Like, I'm not sure like what to take from this situation. That's always been. He's been dad. Like even like when they remade Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
I was visiting Indiana at the time, so I was like, Dad, me and you're gonna go see a movie, and he's like, okay. I was like, let's go see Clash of Titans, because that seemed like like testosterone, like let's go take your dad movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to the theater, and I think that's when like the Miley Cyrus version of the Nicholas Sparks movie came out with the not Thor guy.
Yeah.
And so we walk by that poster. My dad's like, "Ooh, what is this?" I'm like, "We're gonna go see Clash of the Titans." Not gonna go see Nicholas Sparks with my father.
Yeah. What was it? Divergent? Was it?
Not even that cool.
No.
Oh, geez.
Nicholas Sparks.
Oh,
like
that's
someone
what it
dies of
was.
cancer movie.
Okay.
I mean, your dad's just a thoughtful guy. I mean,
I guess. I don't know.
Oh man.
it touches him.
I was like, we're gonna go watch Medusa get her head cut off.
Yeah.
Well, I've never actually like nerded out with my brother over these Marvel films, but I have with my father, and it's the same thing. Star Wars and this are similar in his perspective of what these films represent. So it's going to be another thing I can share with my father. It's weird because I guess newer generations will also be able to share like these types of things with their children. But back in the day, that was unheard of.
Yeah.
I think that's something that's interesting is that I've always described the MCU as like my Star Wars because my adult life has been like Tony Stark to Endgame. I feel like the dusting has become like a cultural meme.
Yeah.
A snap. and stuff. Like it's like, oh, this is becoming our Star Wars. Like these are like little like plot points that are gonna like kind of keep going through like pop culture and stuff.
It's like Luke losing his hand.
I have a specific memory of Vince's dad back when we were all living in Delaware. This is a long story, but there was a point when like Vince's parents had to like stay with Vince's sister because they were like moving between houses and stuff. And Vince's sister, she was like, "Dad's watching Avengers." I'm like, "That's cool. That's a good movie." He's like, "He watches it every day." And then like his dad walks in the room like, "You like Avengers?" He's like, "It's a good movie."
He snapped, man.
Oh, my dad, I think he liked a couple of them, but like he just, I feel like he also likes to make fun of me for things. So he's just like, oh, this stupid superhero stuff again. Like, okay, he's grumpy.
He won't ever like come out to talk to me though. I always have to approach him with this stuff.
Oh yeah,
because I know he wants to talk about it. He'll never start.
Yeah.
He'll
be the one hiding in the
1 2
theater
1 2.
crying.
Yeah, he'll be like almost bursting because he needs somebody to talk to about it, but he won't actually go to do it. He'll wait for someone to talk to him first.
See, in like reaction to Josh, what you said about your dad, like making fun of you or something, he's got something that's like that too.
No, I feel like I know he likes some of them.
Yeah.
It was just funny. Like he would kind of just annoy me on purpose. He does that for a lot of things.
Yeah, so you gotta find that thing for him.
Exactly.
And then keep poking back.
Yeah. Just leave him alone if he's gonna be a grump.
Well, see, you have children, so you can sick them on him.
Grandpa loves Star Wars.
It's
Make sure you talk.
Yeah, you're sick, right? Go
He
talk,
loves Tombstone.
Go talk to Uncle.
He
Gibson.
will.
That's a
He
good
will
one.
watch Tombstone every single day of the week.
So you
It's not a bad movie.
So
I
you
love
should-
the movie.
So you should train the girls to ask Grandpa if like Ryan Reynolds was good in Tombstone or something.
He wouldn't. He probably doesn't even know the names. He'd probably know Kurt Russell and Sam Elliott, and that's probably it. The names. He doesn't care about that. However, it's actually my dad's fault that I love superheroes because he used to sit down and watch with me The Greatest American Hero.
Okay.
Remember that show?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I love this.
It's funny you mentioned that because one of the Mortal Kombat videos someone put out, like they were doing like a recap of the history of the series and stuff. So I was catching up before this new game, and so this person who's narrating is doing a really good job. And I was like, this is really cool. And then at some point he's like, yeah, it just brings me back to those times in front of the TV. I'm like, oh yeah, me too. It's like when my mom and dad would be playing the game, and I was sitting there watching. I'm like, I'm so effing old. Like
My
this
mom and dad would be playing
game,
Mortal Kombat.
and this kid is not like a super young kid. Like I think he's like in college or something, and he's like my parents or something. Like I'm like, F me. Like holy crap.
Dude, my kid's 12. She'll
Yeah.
be 13 soon. And I mean, like, she was born in 2006. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
It's crazy.
yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, like, Ari loves playing Mario. So, I don't
That's
know.
awesome though. That's good taste.
Yeah,
Those games are timeless.
Yeah.
Mario. Yeah,
Mario 3, her fave.
spans the test of time.
Yeah.
These
true.
these properties. That's why IP is such a big thing these days.
Yeah.
These days, like the last couple centuries.
I know. Right?
Well, especially since the internet and whatnot.
I was thinking the other day, I haven't seen anybody else brought it up, but like now there's been like a few weeks out for the end game stuff. I know it's not purposeful, but in my head I like it to be purposeful that like a mouse saved the day because it's Disney.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Get that
Just put that in your
rabbit.
head.
There's a rat, though. But
My head is a mouse. Like, that'd be a funny meme to make. Somebody make the meme where you keep zooming in on the mouse and then you see like his little gloves.
it's Mickey.
Yeah, it's like,
good
hi kids,
Little red trunks.
Ant-Man's coming back.
14 million and one.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far, congrats. You're one of the lucky ones. Obviously, go check out all the other cool social media things that we do and content that we make. So next time, we that's when you'll catch us next.
All right, out.